Welcome to my new series, where I will try to cover some games that are well renowned for their tank realism, where I will test the actual realism of those games. And I thought, what a better way to start than reviewing War Thunder. It's no secret that War Thunder is a very popular game in the online tank community. Hell, I even advertised it myself for a while. It is often praised for its realism, but how realistic is it actually? Keep in mind that I will be reviewing the actual tank behavior, damage models, etc. I will not talk about penetration values or armor protection and similar things being unrealistic. I believe that in a lot of games, including War Thunder, some changes have to be made in those departments for the sake of balancing and gameplay, and as such, those will not be the topics I will cover in this series. Let's start with damage. There is a lot that can be damaged on tanks in War Thunder. Most of the important modules can be damaged or destroyed. Most of them can be destroyed by one shot from an enemy tank, and some modules even have several different models when damaged. They recently even introduced a mechanic that makes the tracks break on the point of impact, which is extremely good, but it is not yet implemented on all vehicles, and at the time of making this video, majority of the vehicles still don't have this system implemented. As for the damage model itself, it is good. Of course, this is all excluding the bugs that can commonly occur with shots being completely soaked up by weak modules, etc. But that's beside the point. But there are downsides, a lot of them. When you destroy the main gun sight of the enemy tank, they can still use it as if nothing happened. No visual damage will be done to the picture, and they will still be able to aim at you. I think it goes without saying that in real life a shot from a tank's gun would rip a sight to pieces. Damaging a lot of modules does little to nothing, like completely destroying a radiator of an enemy tank would do nothing. The tank can still keep going through the entire battle without overheating or anything similar.
Deutsche Qualität.
The repairs are completely unrealistic. You have your main gun ripped in half by an enemy shot? Worry not, my friend, we have a spare gun in the trunk. It'll just take 30 seconds to screw it on. It's just ridiculous. I understand it's done for gameplay reasons, and the game would not be fun if it was realistic, but it's worth pointing out. Another problem is the crew of open vehicles surviving headshots from machine guns. Humans are modeled as one module. No matter where you hit them, the damage done is the same, so shooting a foot and a head is the same. This means that shooting a foot can kill a man in 2 shots, and it also means that a man can survive 2 shots in the head. And no, helmets can't stop bullets from any machine gun in the game. Overall, the damage model itself is good. You have fragmentations from penetrating hits, a lot of things can be damaged. Penetrating hits do decent damage. You have ammo cook-offs, explosions, etc. But the game does many things for the sake of the gameplay that are completely unrealistic. Now we will talk about the handling. There is not much to talk about World War II tanks. You drive them around, the sights are fixed. You can change elevation on many of them, except that some that should not be able to have adjustable elevation do, like a lot of Sherman tanks. Modern tanks are a completely different story. One good change recently was the addition of Commander's Independent Sight and the ability for automatic elevation adjustment when using rangefinders. Keep in mind that I am using realistically made user sights. The reticle is the same for all vehicles by default, but since the game allows for that, I will be using them, since everyone else can. On the first glance, everything looks good. Commander's view is simulated above where the hatch is on the vehicle, as if the commander is looking out of the tank. The main gun sight has thermals and laser rangefinder with automatic adjustment. Commander has his own sight with thermals if the tank has thermals in real life, his own rangefinder, and he can also take control of the main gun if something happens to the gunner, or just for fun. And he also has access to binoculars on every tank. And the sights are stabilized individually as they should, and on tanks where commander sight is not stabilized in real life, it's not in the game, like on T-80 BVM. The mobility also seems decent, suspension of the tanks works good, on top of other minor things. But there are a lot of problems. A lot of older tanks, like from World War II, that should have independent commander sight, don't. That goes for a big majority of Soviet World War II tanks. Modern tanks lack automatic lead, which should automatically adjust for the moving targets. You should just aim at the center of the moving target, laze it, and keep your sight on it, then shoot. In the game, you have to guess where to shoot, and that is most likely done for gameplay reasons. It would make it too easy. But then again, shooting at helicopters with MPAD from M1A2 would be easy and would trigger the KA-50 players, so it would be a big plus in my book. Some tanks, like the 80 BVM, can laze through the commander's sight while the sight is looking away from the main gun. In real life, that is not possible. The sight has no laser rangefinder, but a coincidental one on the sight's reticle. No tank in the game can change ammunition, which majority of the tanks in real life can. Unload the loaded shell and load a new one. Even the Soviet tanks with autoloaders have that option. Of course, it takes longer than on an Abrams or Leopard 2, but it's still a thing that can be done. But yet, in the game, it's impossible. Another problem is that a lot of machine guns are remotely operated when they should not be. There are tanks that have machine guns that can be operated from the inside of the tank, like Abrams, T-64, T-90 and so on. But majority of the armored vehicles in the game do not have that option. I mean, what is this? Either all of it is okay or none of it is okay. Why does M18's commander have to die and everyone else gets to sit in their tanks and use magic to control their machine guns? Seriously, shame on you. This creates another problem of tanks like T-72s not being able to use the commander's sight because the machine gun, which is not remotely operated in real life, is operated with magic and thus the sight is pointing backwards and can't be used. But when the gunner dies, you can still operate the main gun on T-72B3 since in real life it has access to the main gun sight and gun controls. And of course, the most unrealistic thing about handling is that one person alone controls the entire vehicle, which in real life of course is not the case. But of course it's done for gameplay reasons. And the last thing is the environment. The environmental effects are pretty good. Tanks leave track imprints on all kinds of soft surfaces like mud, snow, and sand. The grass is completely squished when tanks go over it. Tanks can crush through a lot of things like fences, small buildings, etc. A lot of buildings can be destroyed and some parts of the maps can be completely obliterated. Trees are ripped off when tanks go through them and so on. Pretty decent. But of course there are downsides. Some buildings can't be destroyed or can only be partially destroyed. Hitting them with a 60-ton tank going 60 km per hour would do absolutely nothing. Some other things also can't be destroyed at all, and shooting them with a very powerful gun will do absolutely nothing. Even dropping the heaviest bombs from planes will do nothing. And I think that some things need to be said about gameplay. As mentioned before, a tank is operated by one person only. This alone goes more in line with arcadic gameplay. The gameplay does not encourage coordinated attacks, it's also very arcadic when it comes to the core gameplay as well. Many maps are very unrealistic, in a way that no general would send the tanks to fight on such terrain. Revenge killing with CAS is also still very much a thing, and complete freedom to pick any type of vehicle you want also makes the gameplay, well, arcadic. I've been saying that a lot, but that's the way it is. If you want realistic gameplay, War Thunder is not a game you would want to pick. It has a lot of realistic elements to it, especially when compared to its main competition, but to its core it's far from realism. It's fun to a lot of people and I think that is the point, and to make money of course, that's the main point. I hope you enjoyed this type of a video, let me know if you want to see more. Also recommend me some games, I have some of them planned I think would be good, and no, Steel Beasts is not a video game. If you like my content, you can support me on Patreon or just leave a like on the video or subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.